The Ramayana is one of two great epic stories of India. It is a romantic tale composed as a poem of 24,000 couplets, which tells of Prince Rama, heir to the throne, who on the day of his coronation is banished for 14 years through the treachery of his stepmother. How he endures his life of exile, how he conquers the abductors of his wife who chose to share his exile with him, and how he finally regains his rightful place in his kingdom through the help of another kingdom of fighting monkeys, are the story elements of this fascinating drama. But the most important aspect of this ancient tale is that woven throughout are the teachings of the Hindu religion. Rama, though he is not aware of it, is a reincarnation of God. He and his wife Sita represent ideal man and ideal woman. The actions and speeches of all the principal characters of the story are meant to be examples which may be followed by those who must live daily in the world. Today, on Stories Are for People, I will have time to give you only the highlights of this remarkable adventure, taken from the translation of Elizabeth Seeger. But you must seek out the Ramayana and read the whole of it yourself someday. You are fortunate today, however, to listen to it, for the ancient Hindus said that he who hears the Ramayana will obtain all his desires and have success in all his undertakings. Women who hear it will give birth to noble and famous sons. The hearing of it brings brotherly love, wisdom, long life, and peace to those houses where it is known. Now Rama was born into the world because of a terrible demon called Ravana. Ravana went forth in his arrogance and did much mischief on earth and in the heavens, and he descended even to the realm of death and fought against its ruler Yama. But neither of those two could prevail, for Yama was immortal, and Ravana had been given the boon by Brahma that he could not be destroyed. At last, many of the gods, with the nymphs and the spirits of air and water, went to Brahma and besought him, saying, "O God of gods, the demon Ravana is always troubling us, and we are helpless before him because of the boon you have granted him. We are terrified by him, for he controls even the sun, the winds, and the seas. Only you can help us." The Lord of the worlds pondered for a while, and then he said, "I have thought of a plan whereby this evil tyrant may be destroyed. Only man can kill him. Therefore he must be destroyed by a man, but that man must have the power of a god." At this moment the Lord Vishnu came among them, the preserver and guardian of the three worlds, equal in power to Brahma the Creator. The lesser deities worshipped him with the palms of their hands joined together, and they implored him, "O Vishnu, guardian of all creatures, we beg you to be born of man in order to destroy Ravana, the scourge of earth and heaven." "Fear no more," answered Vishnu. "Be at peace, for I shall slay Ravana with his friends and kinsmen and all his army. But where shall I take birth as man?" All who heard him now rejoiced, and the god of fire, Agni, said to him, "The good and wise king of Koshala is even now preparing a sacrifice in order to obtain a son. Be born, O conqueror of foes, as sons to his 3 wives. Free us from our fears." The Lord Vishnu graciously agreed, and then Brahma spoke again to all the assembled gods and to the nymphs and to the spirits of the forest and the waters and the air, to whom Ravana had done great harm. And he said, "Since the blessed Vishnu is willing to be born of man for your sakes, you must help him by begetting great sons among the monkeys of the southern forest. Anyone who attacks Ravana in his stronghold of Lanka to the south must pass that way. He will need the help of those who know the forest best. Be born as monkeys, skilled in magic, swift as the wind, able to change their shape at will as demons do, to cleave rocks and mountains, and to fly in the air like eagles. Thus the prayers of the gods were answered. And the gods favored the king of Koshala, who was wise and just, for they gave him a golden vessel containing celestial food, which he divided among his 3 wives. To the first and most honored of his queens he gave half of the heavenly food. Then he divided the rest of it in 2 equal parts and gave 1 to each of the other queens, and all of them consumed it with great joy. And in the spring, when all the favorable planets were alight, the queens brought forth their sons. The firstborn was the child of that mother who had eaten half the celestial food, and great was the rejoicing at his birth. A few days later a second son was born, and then the third queen gave birth to twin boys, and the king's joy was complete. The eldest boy was named Rama, delight, of his parents and of the world. The second son was called Bharata, the upholder of the kingdom. The twins were Lakshmana and the fortunate, and Shatrughna, conqueror of foes. The boys were all strong and handsome. Rama and Bharata were dark-skinned as storm clouds, the twins more fair. All had black, curling hair, eyes as large as lotus leaves, dark and bright, and they learned all the branches of knowledge under the wisest of their father's counselors. The most skillful of his warriors taught them the use of every weapon, and they became excellent riders and were skillful in driving the chariot. They learned to use the bow and the sword and the mace. They practiced as they grew older in the hunt and in games together and with their friends. The brothers were very devoted to one another and were almost always together. But if they separated or took sides in a game, then Lakshmana always went with Rama, Shatrughna with Bharata. Among them Rama was always the leader, however, because he was the eldest, and also because he was the strongest and the wisest, for he possessed half of the nature of Vishnu, while the others had a lesser portion. He was skilled in all the arts of peace and war, especially in archery, for no one could surpass him in the use of the bow. And from the time he was 15 years old, he had shown himself brave and capable of ruling a kingdom. Now, when Rama was nearly 30 years of age, and had proven himself again and again in battle, his father the king decided to make him regent as well as heir to the throne. He wished to see Rama crowned before he himself should die. He called his ministers and his elders to him, and he asked their advice. Those who were present consulted together and chose a spokesman who said thus: "You are fortunate to have such a son, O mighty one. You have been the greatest ruler of your line, but none is so virtuous as Rama. His fame is already widespread. His splendor increases every day. In warfare, he is more powerful than the gods. He never returns from battle until his enemy is defeated, yet he never glories in his power or uses it unjustly. He loves the truth and will never break his word, whatever happens. He is as forgiving as the earth. He never speaks ill of others and is free from pride and jealousy. He is self-controlled, courteous, humble, and wise, yet he knows how to punish the evildoer, even as he shows mercy to the innocent. He honors the wise and the aged. He is learned in the Vedas and in all knowledge, and is skilled in the arts of music and painting. That mighty archer, lover of the truth, the servant of the people, blesses all who seek his protection, and is always righteous. The people of the whole kingdom, at dawn and at eventide, pray for his life and happiness. Truly, as his name declares, Rama has become the delight of the world. O giver of boons, we beg you to crown Rama. Without delay, we long to see him riding upon the royal elephant under the white canopy." Now, Bharta's mother, Queen Kaikeyi, had a serving maid who had been with her all her life. Her name was Manthara, and she was humpbacked and of evil disposition, though devoted to her mistress. All had heard now about the fact that Rama might be crowned. And she, when she heard the news of Rama's crowning, was full of jealousy and rage. She reminded the queen that long ago, when she had saved the king's life by nursing him through a terrible illness, that he had granted her 2 boons that she had never asked for. "Claim them now, O stupid queen," she goaded. "Your son Bharta has as much right to the throne as Rama does. For the first boon, ask the king that Bharta be made regent and not Rama. For the second boon, ask that Rama be banished to the forest for 14 years. By that time, everyone will forget him. The king cannot refuse you." With those words, the happiness of the kingdom, the royal family, and the king were shattered. For Queen Kaikeyi yielded to the evil suggestions of her jealous serving maid. And the king, in fact, died of grief, because he must keep his word, thereby forcing his best beloved son to take up the life of a hermit and cheat his people of their chosen king, when all he wanted was to have seen Rama crowned before his death. Rama, however, was not dismayed. Ever willing to uphold the right, and in order that he not dishonor his father's vow, but obey him in all things, Rama cheerfully gave up the kingdom the moment he heard the news. And he prepared himself for the hard life of a forest hermit, wearing skins or cloth of bark and eating only fruit or whatever he could kill in the forest. His brother Lakshmana, always faithful to him, as well as his faithful wife Sita, decided to accompany him and share his banishment, for they said they could not live without him in the city. His brother Bharta, for his part, was as broken-hearted as anyone in the kingdom and refused to press his advantage. He had been away from the city when the trouble started, but as soon as he learned of his brother's exile and whereabouts, he followed him into the forest to beg his return. When at last he found Rama, Bharta ran forward, speaking his brother's name, and he knelt weeping at his feet. Shatrughna also bowed to Rama's feet and then to Sita's, and the 4 brothers embraced one another with unspeakable joy. And then Rama, looking at Bharta, said, "Why, I scarcely know you, dear brother. You look so thin and careworn. What brings you here to the forest? Is the king our father well, or has grief ended his life?" Bharta told him then of his father's death, and Rama grieved sorely, knowing that his own departure had been the cause of it. At last Bharta said, "O mighty one, our father the king was forced by my mother to do a shameful thing, and he has died of grief in consequence. Although I am Kaikeyi's son, I am your devoted follower and servant, and I beg of you, let yourself be crowned today here in the forest, and ascend the throne. The priests and the ministers of the kingdom, the elders of the people, and my mother herself have come to entreat you, for she is sorry for what she has done." Bharta, his eyes filled with tears, bowed his head to Rama's feet. But his elder brother raised him up and embraced him and said, "Oh, Bharta, how can a good and wise prince ask his elder brother to do wrong?" he said. "The father, the king, or the spiritual teacher can command us to do whatever he wills, and our duty is to obey. Our father commanded me to go to the forest and you to ascend the throne, and how can we dare to disobey?" Then the high priest, who had come with all the company to crown Rama in the forest, spoke to him, reminding him that from the beginning, in the noble dynasty to which Rama belonged, the eldest son inherited the throne. "It is not right for you to break this sacred rule, my son," he said. "When a man is born, he must obey his father, his mother, and his spiritual teacher. Parents give men their body, but the teacher gives them wisdom. I am your father's teacher and yours. Do your duty to us all and yield to your brother's entreaty." "The good that parents do to their son cannot easily be repaid," Rama answered. "I cannot set aside the commands of my father. The moon may lose its light and the Himalayas their snow, but I shall not break the vow I made in his presence." "We cannot entreat him any more," answered one of them. "His mind is made up." Then Bharata surrendered, falling at his brother's feet and crying, "Oh, Rama, Rama!" He had brought royal raiment for the coronation that they hoped would take place in the forest, but now he sent an attendant to fetch golden sandals, adorned with jewels that were a part of that apparel. And he said to Rama, "Place your feet in these sandals, O Blessed One, for they will be all that we have to support and protect us." Rama put his feet in the sandals and then took them off and gave them back to his brother. And Bharata said, "From today on, I shall put on the hermit's dress and live on forest food outside the city walls, awaiting your return. I shall place these sandals on the throne under the royal canopy, and they shall rule the kingdom for twice 7 years. And if you do not return on the last day of the last year, I shall enter the fire and die." Rama embraced him lovingly, and he said, "So be it." Rama and Sita and Lakshmana were left then in peace in the forest. And it was a hard last parting. But all of this was coming to pass as God had destined, for Rama was born, you recall, to destroy the demon Ravana, and this was his purpose, and this was his destiny. And only by obeying his destiny willingly and wisely was he able to bring great good out of evil events. Finally, the years that they spent together in the forest passed one by one. They went quickly and happily, for the three who were faithful to each other and to God's will. But in the 13th year of their banishment, Ravana, the powerful king of the demons, was made aware of their existence. He now heard of Rama's great skill and bravery, and of Sita's great beauty and virtue, and he longed to destroy Rama and possess Sita. To this end, he appeared to Sita one day as a starving Brahmin, while Rama and Lakshmana were out hunting, tricked away from Sita by Ravana's demon helpers. Then Ravana showed himself in his true form, and he said, "I am Ravana, king of the demons, O Sita, before whom gods and men tremble. Beyond the sea, on the summit of a mountain, stands my splendid city Lanka. Filled with every delight it is, O beautiful one, and I ask you now to come and live with me there as my chief queen. Forget the lot of mortal woman. Think no more of Rama, who is but human and whose end is near." Sita trembled like a leaf in the wind when she saw the horrible demon in all his splendor, but her anger was greater than her fear. "I belong to Rama, who is as steadfast as a rock and as calm as the ocean, and who possesses every virtue," she answered. "I belong to him, the greatest of men, and I shall be ever faithful to him. O wretch, you can no more win my love than you can grasp the sunlight. You are to Rama as a jackal is to a lion. And if you should carry me away, you would cross the ocean with a stone around your neck, for he who insults the wife of Rama, that mighty archer, will never escape death." "Have you never heard of my power and valor?" answered the demon. "I can stand in space and lift the earth. I can pierce the sun with my arrows and drink up the ocean. If you wish a master famed in the 3 worlds, yield yourself to me. I am a husband worthy of you," he said. "What binds you to Rama, O foolish one? A man banished from his kingdom at the whim of a woman, who has brought you to a forest full of wild beasts and demons. Leave him. Turn to me, for I will do you great honor, and I will never displease you." Then Ravana seized her in his powerful arms, and he bore her to his chariot harnessed to goblin-headed mules, and he mounted holding her tightly, and the chariot rose up in the air, and she struggled in vain against him, and she screamed, "Rama! Rama!" But Rama was far away. Still she spoke defiantly to Ravana, saying, "O base wretch, are you not ashamed of what you have done? You did not dare to win me in fair fight, but lured my husband away by magic. Barbarian, this is a shameful deed. To bear away a defenseless woman, the wife of another, you will be forever cursed. For your own good, set me free at once, O Ravana." But Ravana sped on over forests and rivers and mountains and lakes, carrying his own destruction in his arms. Still looking on all sides for help, Sita saw 5 great monkeys standing on the top of a hill. Her yellow silken robe was streaming out in the wind like a sunset cloud, and the monkeys were attracted to the sight. She struggled in Ravana's grip. Flowers fell from her hair, and some of her jewels broke and fell, flashing through the air. And then she thought of something she might be able to do. As she passed over the monkeys, still staring up at her, she took off her jewels, wrapped them in her veil, and dropped them, hoping the monkeys would see them, and that in some way they would reach Rama. These monkeys were, of course, the ones that Brahma, in his far-seeing wisdom, had caused to be born for this moment. For after many weeks of travel and search, Rama and the king of the monkeys, Sugriva, were united in friendship and decided to go together to Lanka, Ravana's island fortress, and destroy him once and for all, and rescue Sita. But first, in order to bridge the 100 miles of ocean that lay between the coast and the demon's island home, the monkeys were forced to build a causeway of great stones, part of which survives to this very day and is called Rama's Bridge. Then, at Rama's command, the monkeys in hundreds and thousands rushed upon the mountain that upheld Lanka and began to scale its heights. Roaring like thunderclouds, they tore down the outposts and they reached the foot of the walls. Then Ravana ordered his troops to attack, and they poured out of the gates like the winds that will sweep the earth at doomsday. And with the banging of kettledrums and the blare of trumpets and conch shells, they came forth in chariots and on elephants and horses, clad in mail and armed with every sort of weapon. And an appalling battle began between them, the monkeys yelling victory to Rama and Sugriva, king of the monkeys, and the demons shouting glory to Ravana. At the end of that first day, apes and demons, horses and elephants lay dead upon the field among broken chariots and swords and shields and fallen banners. The monkeys, trusting in Rama and Lakshmana, were weary but triumphant, while the demons longed for the coming of the night that would put an end to that battle. On the next day and the following days, Ravana sent forth his best warriors and his brothers and his sons, ordering each one to kill Rama and Lakshmana, and every day one of them was slain in single combat instead. Meanwhile, all around them, monkeys and demons fought, and many on both sides were slain, and many sorely wounded, and finally, only one son was left to Ravana, the most powerful of all, however, Indrajita, who had defeated the god of the heavens himself. He found his father sunk in an ocean of grief and said to him, "Indrajita still lives, dear father, therefore do not despair. Today you will see Rama and Lakshmana lying on the earth, torn to pieces by my arrows that never missed their mark. Give me leave, my father, to go forth." The son of Ravana was certain of victory over Rama, whom he scorned as a mere man, and he went forth gaily. But with the help of the gods, Indrajita was made visible, and Lakshmana was able to overthrow him and all his followers. When Indrajita fell, the demons flung down their arms, and they fled panic-stricken in all directions, pursued by triumphant monkeys. Some reached the gates of the city, others ran up the mountains or threw themselves into the sea. Lakshmana was wounded, but he was triumphant. Leaning on his friends, he went back to Rama, who received him in a joyful embrace and listened eagerly as they told him all that had happened, how Lakshmana had killed Indrajita and won the day. Now that you have slain the conqueror of Indra, O mighty warrior Ravana himself is defeated, Rama said to his brother. When he hears of the death of his son, he will come forth, and I shall slay him at last. Because of your victory, it will not be hard to regain Sita and even the whole earth. When Ravana was told of the death of Indrajita, his last son and last hope of success, he fainted and lay unconscious for a long time, not hearing the loud lamentations that filled his palace. When he came to himself, rage filled his heart, and fanned by his grief, flame and smoke came out of his mouth and his nostrils. He was so furious, none dared to look at him. Today I shall send Rama and his brother to the abode of Yama, king of the dead, he said. I shall avenge my sons and brothers. And he rode forth into battle, followed by his troops. But Rama stood waiting for him, and then there followed such a struggle as has never been seen on earth before. When those two warriors tried to kill one another, even the gods of heaven watched. It had been planned by them long ago that this should happen, and on it depended their own safety and their freedom from the wickedness of Ravana, whom they themselves could not kill because of the boon that had been granted to him by Brahma. So now they watched Rama and gave him all the help they could. Rama taunted his foe. What a hero you are, O wicked wretch, to carry off a woman after luring her husband from her by a trick. What a noble deed was that. Now by good fortune you stand before me, and today your head with its crown and earrings shall roll in the dust. Rama was so angry his friends feared to look upon his face, and even Ravana was dismayed. For Rama now summoned the weapon that was like a winged snake, a gift from Brahma to him long ago. He fixed it on his bow, and he spoke an incantation, and then with his whole strength he pulled the bowstring to his ear and loosed that deadly shaft that pierced the breast of Ravana, and then returned to Rama's hand. The great fiend fell from his chariot, and the earth shook with his fall. With the death of Ravana, Sita was rescued, and all the monkeys rewarded, and a flying chariot from heaven given to Rama, so he could swiftly return to his own kingdom of Koshala. For now, the 14 years of banishment were accomplished. And that royal city had not had a king for 14 years, for Bharata and Shatrugna had kept their hermit's vows and never entered it. But now they came to the royal palace, and all entered it in joy, and preparations were made for the coronation that was to be at dawn the next day. And finally Rama was seated on the royal throne, and beside him Sita, his equal in beauty and majesty, and his brothers stood on each side, and in the hall the Brahmins and the chief warriors and the merchants witnessed the rites. And it is said that the gods themselves came to the palace that day, and that Vayu, the wind god, gave Rama a garland made of golden lotuses, and that Indra, god of heaven, gave him a necklace of shining jewels. The earth gave forth rich crops then, and trees and flowers blossomed and yielded their fragrance, whether or not it was their season. And in time, Sita bore twin sons, and all the brothers had sons to carry on the noble line of Koshala. There was no danger of disease or of snake bite during his reign. No woman lacked a husband. Men lived long, and no parent lost a child. There was no robbery or violence, for men forgot their enmity when they looked at Rama or remembered his deeds. Each man performed his own work, and all prospered, for trade flourished in a land where peace and justice prevailed. Skilled artisans came to the city, scholars and learned Brahmins came and blessed it, and rain fell as it was needed and was held by dams and in reservoirs for use in the dry season. Crops and fruit were plentiful, and herds of sleek round cattle and horses filled the pastures, and indeed if men speak of happiness or look forward to a time when peace and plenty prevail in the world, they say, may it be like the reign of Rama. May prosperity attend you, and may the power of God increase.